Creation. You see, the questions that we have asked today are the questions that are informing us of our worldview. And through that, the level and the quality of life that we conduct on the face of this earth. Now, this particular session might be a little difficult on the minds. If you feel that we need to pause at any point, tell me, I don't mind, we'll take all the time that we need, and maybe we can conduct the rest of whatever remains today, tomorrow, it's not a problem. If you feel you need to go and get a cup of coffee, do so. Now, creation. What do we understand by it? The naive mind feels creation means that the eternal God has made us the temporal beings. Yes? By temporal, what I mean is non-eternal. Yes? The terms that philosophers use is ex nihilo. What that means is from nothing. So I come from non-existence and suddenly I'm here. This is what we understand by the word creation. There's a huge problem that we have with language. We assume to know the meanings of the words that we are using, when in fact we don't know what we are talking about. The thing is, the human society is marvelous. Nobody knows what they're talking about, and the other person makes perfect sense of it. It's amazing. If I were to say that wall is white, you will all nod. I can't show you what I'm seeing. You can't see what I'm seeing. This is something as simple as whiteness. Then I say the Kaaba is a cube. You all acknowledge. It's black. You can't see what I'm seeing. Then I make it even more complex. It's beautiful. You say, Subhanallah, it is beautiful. That goes into unknown territory totally. What is the meaning of beauty? Then I say it's spiritually uplifting, and you say, wow, it's spiritually uplifting. By this time, nobody knows what they're talking about. Neither am I making sense to myself, neither am I making sense to you, but we carry on. And we land a probe on Mars. Imagine, we don't know what we're talking about, but we have the ability, through a nonsensical language, to send a probe, and it lands on Mars. Language is beautiful. It's so broad. We have broad definitions for things in which we can fit things accurately and we can conduct meaningful discussions. However, there are certain terms in language that can falter with fundamental thought processes which then impact the level of life that we lead. These are questions that are of those natures, that are of that nature. These are the fundamental words that need to be understood, or notions that need to be clarified. Creation, the way Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses it in the Quran, is to fashion. Isa says, أَخْلُقُ لَكُمْ مِنَ الطِّينِ كَهَيْئَةِ الطَّيْرِ. I create for you from clay, the form of a bird. So creation, in the words of Isa, means to fashion from clay, not something coming out of nothing. Yes, the bird's form was non-existent, but not from absolute non-existence, but from clay that did exist. Can you see that? Allah asks Iblis, Ma mana'aka an tasjuda lima khalaqtu biyadayya. What prevented you from prostrating to the one I created with my two hands? Here, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking about fashioning the statue of Adam. So creation does not mean what we are understanding. Creation does not mean that we are made from non-existence. Can you see that? Creation merely means to fashion. That's about it. That's all it means. So if we've got that right, so we are saying the first thing is, I need to remove this notion from my mind that my being has come from non-being. That's the first thing I need to reject. Then we go on. What is the nature of our identity then? When I say I am, what do I mean I am? Does that make any sense? You see, the DNA that constructs me is not me, is the product of my parents. Yeah? And I've come out into this form. The religion that I practice is an outcome of the cradle. So my brownness, my gender, my religion is all supplied. What about my sense of ugliness and beauty? I know many people I used to find extremely beautiful, and now I would say, well, my sense of beauty has changed altogether. Now I find everybody beautiful. I don't find anything ugly anymore. Yes, or I don't lose sleep over people that I used to find very beautiful. So my sense of beauty and ugliness in itself is transient. My taste of food, again, is changing. I ask myself, who am I? The answer is, I don't know. Is there such a thing as I am? Now, this is a very important thing. I am not created in the way that I think. I am not the one that I think. Upon introspection, you see, everything about me is transient. If it is transient, then either I am a floating identity, in which case I can't really say I am something that is stable, or there is no such thing as identity. So I'm thinking around these things with you right now. So now, if that is the case, then what am I and how have I come about? Here is what we need to understand. That this thing that we say, I am, can it ever be created? Can it ever be a product of somebody else's work? Let's go into it a little bit more. Let us stretch the meaning of creation, something that I make. Yes? The motions of my fingers are my creation. Can you see that? They are wholly subservient to me. The painting that I draw is my creation. I have fashioned it, brought it out. My thoughts are my creation. They are at my mercy. I initiate them, I cause them to halt, bring them to a stop, destroy them, modify them. My children, are they my creation? The answer is no. They are not like my speech, they are not like my thoughts, they are not like the motion of my fingers. I am a mere means and a passage for their arrival. I do not think into their heads. They think independently. So they are not my creation. Can I be anybody's creation? My body is created, no doubt. This is fashioned from many, many processes. It's a creation. Creation upon creation upon creation. But what about me when I say I am? This intimate awareness. Is it anybody else's awareness or is it my awareness? Sure.
Why don't we use this one here?
Should we just use this one?
Their sound systems have to get in. Make it say it.
It's not working, right? What?
Sorry, that's not my department, so a little hard.
Can you all hear me? Can you hear me till the end? Can you hear me? Okay. So, can this intimate awareness of I am ever be created? The answer is, how is it possible for it to be a creation? Yeah. You can't hear. Yeah, it's turned on. Switches that one off, then I can start. Yep. So this awareness that I am, it cannot be created. And then when we look deep into this I am, it can't even be destroyed. It merely becomes unaware and becomes aware. So at nights when we sleep, at times we become unaware. In the mornings when we wake up, we become aware once again. Mostly we take off from where we left off at night. We just resume. Some people in their sleep are still aware. Some people are semi-aware. Some people lose their self-awareness. But the thing is, it's an amazing thing. This I am just goes to sleep and awakens. So what is the nature of this I am? Is it created? If it is created in the sense of popping up from nothing, then what does that mean? It can only mean that it has awoken. That's all it means. That this awareness that I have of I am, it is an awakening. And it can't be anything other than awakening. But in this, there's a proof of the existence of God as well. That if I awaken, I see that I did not awaken myself. I have awoken to a world that pre-exists. So therefore there is something else that is causing this awakening. As somebody came to Imam Ali, a philosophical-minded person, and he said, "Prove God to me." It was a beautiful proof that the Imam gave. He said, "Are you?" He said, "Yes, I am." "Did you initiate your awakening?" He said, "I believe in God now." "I have awoken, but in already an existing world. Who has awoken me?" Yes? And that is the ultimate proof of God. And we can discuss this afterwards. So I have awoken into this world. But when I awaken, this awakening is independent. It is not creation in the way we understand. You can say that yes, before awakening I was not aware of myself. That is true. But after awakening, I also know that nobody is controlling me. It is entirely me. I have awoken, And once I have awoken, I do not have any past or future. I am eternal and I'm infinite. How is that? Well, we go into the understanding of past and future and we delve into these questions further. How? If you consider, since the morning we have been here, we have always been in the present and the now. This present and the now has been constantly progressing. Now we were eating, now we were having a break, now we were having a round table discussion, and now we are in the second session. But when we remember the now that has preceded, we call it the past. But there is no such thing as the past in the realist sense. There is no such thing as the future in the realist sense. It's the absolute now, the absolute present. Now this is amazing. If you were to look at a paper boat on a stream, you will always see it in the now, floating in the now. Then you pause and you say, it was there. That is our recollection of the now that has gone. So there is no such thing as the past. It is always the incessant present, always the motion in the present. In that way, me and you do not have a beginning or an end. This awakening is a phenomenal thing. Once we awaken, we are in the now. This now is eternal. This now has no past, it has no future. It always is the now. Now I can shut my eyes. I can die. I can reawaken. It will always be in the now. I have not experienced the now of the universe. My own now was suspended, my awareness and awakening, but yet when I awaken, I'm in the now again. There is nothing but the now. Now, let's look at the stars up in the sky. They may not be there. You know that. It takes hundreds of millions of years for this light to travel and to come to us. They have gone, maybe. A lot of them have changed. The stellar constellations are moving all the time. The black holes are devouring the stars, yes? A lot of this night sky might not even be there. How strange is it therefore that I am seeing them in their past in my now. It is their history that I am seeing in my present. For me, from my perspective, everything is in the absolute now. It cannot be otherwise. The nature of life is that when we awaken, this awakening is something phenomenal. I want to work into it a bit more.
Before we move on, can I ask a question?
Sure.
This concept of now, which is central to what you're talking about, the concept of now, which is central to this discussion, I'm having difficulty sort of grasping that, because you see a child being born and growing up, and you give the example of the boat on the river, sort of now, but it can't. Is it our concept of the past, present, future that is?
The child is growing up in the now at all points. Yes?
Yes.
The child is always growing up in the now. Our recollection of the birth of the child constitutes the past. There is no such thing in the realist sense that is known as the past.
Then is not now. It was then. The child was born then. It's not now.
Yes.
Now, 10 years, 12 years, 14 years.
Okay, bring the then to me. Put your finger on then. Put your finger on the past for me. Bring any past to me right now. There isn't. Now is constantly evolving. Now constantly is moving. Yes? When you say then, that is your mind recollecting the now of then. But bring the then to me. There is no such thing to bring. Yes? Unless, of course, the past is stored in the now somewhere else. How? If whatever we are saying, whatever we are thinking, is emitting waves that are then traveling into deep space in their own now, yes? And if they are stored within a receptor somewhere, a receptor receives all these waves and reconstructs it all, then that too in its own now, a projection of my history as I see the stars in their past, in my present. Can you see that? There is nothing but the present. Yeah? In the realist sense.
I wrote notes this morning. So they are in the past, and I can bring it to you.
You wrote notes in your now, in the morning. You've stored it on a medium that is carrying it in its now. If you were to have examined those notes in the morning, and if you were to examine them now with fine apparatus that chemically tell you the corrosion of ink, you will see that those notes are also in the now at all points. They are not same and they have not stagnated in the past. Yes? Can you see that? There are chemical changes in those notes. There is corrosion. Air is doing whatever it does to them. Whatever is happening, the dampness and whatever, it's always in the now. Bring me something from the past that is now. Anything?
The star's light.
Sorry?
The star's light.
Okay.
That's the past now.
Yes, that's what I mean. Even the past, from my perspective, is in the now. Yes?
But you just said bring me something that was in the past now. And that's an example of bringing something from the past now.
You see, those light that has emitted from the star is constantly reaching me in the now. Can you see that? In my now. It had emitted in its now. It came to me in my now. And once its now finishes and my now finishes, that star will be gone from the sky. Yes? Yeah? But that light is in the now. That star might not be.
So then can you not say it's relative?
We can say it's relative, but I'm talking from my perspective. Everything is in the absolute now.
What about me, myself? I was in the past.
You have been floating in the now. You have constantly been floating in the now. Yes?
Just before you said that, I was in the past.
Yes. That past was a now when we were saying it.
Again, I'm in the past.
And again, that now is in the past, and this is the only now we have. That now that was in the past is no longer. There is no such thing as that thing that you can drag back. If you and me were to bring back, listen to this carefully, me and you from 10 years ago when we had the initial session here, do you know what will happen? That me and you will be in there now, and me and you will be in our now. And the same people who presume themselves to be the same thing are two things altogether. Can you see that? Yeah? Okay, fine. If this is so intriguing, and edit this afterwards, I'll give you a simple philosophical question about identity, and it's very intriguing. Yeah?
I
Sorry.
just wanted to ask a question. Did we ask to be here, and how do you relate that to the now and the then?
Yeah, I think we talked about that in the morning, that it doesn't make sense, and Quran emphasizes that we have knowingly demanded to be here, or we have made a choice, not naively, knowing full well what we are doing. Yes?
And we
Yes,
find that no.
that's fine, that's fine. We will go into the remembrance business tomorrow. Yeah, why we don't remember, and what is the meaning of remembrance and recollection. So that's what we spoke of earlier today. Now we are talking about the meaning of creation and our nature and our identity and the now. Yes? Because there is something quite profound to be discovered here. Something quite profound to be discovered here that we need to discover. So let's take it slowly, be very gentle with this discussion, gradual, give as many examples as we can, analogies, to get this in our minds properly. So we are saying, creation, in mine and your case, it is awakening. This awakening, I admit, I did not awaken myself. I know this. And that is the ultimate proof of God for me. Yes? I already awaken in a world that is there. I did not construct it. That's a proof of God for me, and one of the most intimate proofs. When I awaken, I know that I am both eternal and infinite, for the simple reason that there is no past and there is no future. There is the absolute now, the absolute present. I'll make that easier for us, much easier. Going back to our theological beliefs, does God have a yesterday or a tomorrow? By definition. If God were to have yesterday and tomorrow, like my body has yesterday and tomorrow, because it's constantly changing, then God would be subject to change, which is another huge assumption that we have, which we need to check afterwards, but not for now. So if God does not have yesterday or tomorrow, this is a very naive assumption, but I want to build on that. Then when did Adam take birth in relation to God? In God's now. When does Adam fall from paradise? Now, in terms of God. When does Adam die? When is Adam being resurrected? And why is Allah talking with Isa in the present tone on the day of Qiyamah 1,400 years ago? Because it is the eternal now. Can you see that? So if it is easy to understand, or even if it be very naively, if we can understand that God is always in the now, yes, He doesn't have past or future, He only has the present, then this will lead us into the answers that we are looking for. Yes? If God is the eternal now, and past and future are all intertwined into the now, maybe it might be a little bit difficult for the minds to get around it, but at least we've admitted to one entity being in the absolute now. If we can admit to that, then we can admit that therefore, everything is in the absolute now. Me and you are in the now. The processes of this world are in the absolute now. I am an awakening in the process of this world now. I, in the now of this world, am preceded by other nows that have awoken. If that is understood, then yes.
I heard someone once say that time is nature's way to make sure everything doesn't happen at once. So it originally from what I was understanding what you're saying, that there's only the absolute now,
Mm-hmm.
that seems, my thought was that means that there's no such thing as time. If you take this room, you freeze everything in it, for 10,000 years, then you unfreeze it, it goes on as if nothing has happened. So as far as we're concerned, it's just, there is no such thing as time. Freeze it, stop it, start it, and nothing changes. The only reason we have time is because, we decay, we get old, things like that happen, and that is how we know the passage of time. But it sounds like what you're now saying is that Allah has already been to the future. Or is that what you're saying? Is that what I understand correctly?
We are going to resolve this bit by bit. So let me give another example. You will say, this universe in which we exist is an expression of extension in 3 dimensions. Yes? Length, width, and depth. Yes? And 2 more dimensions of space and time. Fine? Would you agree? 5-dimensional universe, the one in which we are existing?
Time is not a real dimension, but it can be thought of.
That's fine, whether you call it a dimension or not. Doesn't matter. I will ask you, therefore, universe that produces space, is it in a space, or is space a product of the universe? Similarly, if universe produces time, is universe within time or beyond time? If you understand time to be a product of the universe, the physical universe, then universe is the creator of time, and the universe is eternal, beyond time. Does that make sense? Yeah? I am in front of you. The podium is to the left of me. The painting is to the right of me. Fine? Toronto is above the UK. Yes? To the right of America, is it? Or to the left of America? Huh? North of America. That's fine. The Earth, in the context of the Earth is below the moon, above the moon, whatever you want to call it. The Milky Way is to the right or the left of whatever. When we come to the universe as a whole, the physical universe, is it to the right, to the left, above, or below anything? All those things become obsolete because these are the byproducts of the universe. Can you see that? Rightness, leftness, aboveness, belowness, all of these things become oblivious. They don't have answers. Universe creates right and left, above and below. Therefore, if time is a product of the universe, then the universe is beyond time and eternal. If that naive sort of thinking allows us to make clarity of what I'm trying to say, then let us go with that. Yeah? To make it a little bit easier. I'm not saying this is accurate, but I'm saying if it works, then it's fine. So if I'm the awakening, as we are saying, I am, and I know there is no control over me, nobody has any control over me, it's unlike this motion of my finger. I can accurately describe this as creation. But my awakening, I can't describe that as the creation in the same way. So all I can say is, somebody has awoken me. Hold on, awoken me, this language, awoken me, means has not created me. He hasn't drawn me on a canvas. He has just awoken me. I cannot be created. I have only awoken, and somebody has awoken me in the absolute now. Can you see that? If we understand this, then we will know that we are something quite profound. We are something beyond whatever our feeble minds have conceived. We are something totally different. Yes? I am not created. There is no control over me. I have just awoken. Everybody here is and has awoken. Every single thing has awoken. It is the great awakening in the absolute present. There is no past, there is no future. This will give us certain insight into tomorrow's lectures, that everything is undetermined and wonderfully determined. How beautifully intertwined is everything. We'll discuss that further tomorrow. Now, so if I've just awoken, I'm eternal, infinite, uncreated in the way I understand, what is my identity? To be very, very honest with you, being a male or a female, being white or being black, being any of these things is nothing to do with I am. I can have a gender change and I still be I am. I can change maleness to femaleness, vice versa. I can change the pigment of my skin. It changes from black to brown to white to yellow. I can change my features. I can be exposed to different learnings. I can change my belief systems. I can change my sense of taste and food. My sense of beauty and ugliness all change. I am just a recipient, a mirror, upon which images are falling and they're going away. Who am I? What am I? The story is a very profound story. I begin to realize I am not a creation in the naive way in which I think. I am not in the past or in the future. It's the absolute now. The meaning of determinism, the meaning of free will, everything begins to change. I am not any identity that I thought I was. It is here then that we begin to realize that actually, wait, I really do need to think into these things very, very thoroughly. And this then brings clarity to the life that I am leading. I want to make two distinctions here between there is and I am, through life and death. You see, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes life and death, it's not the way in which we think about life and death. We think life is being and death is non-being. But amazingly, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses death as an entry point into life. Isn't that amazing? Kuntum amwatan fa ahyakum. You were dead, He brought you to life. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. The one who created death and created life. Why does death always precede life in the book of God? Death precedes life, and then comes after life, and then life comes after death. It shows that we are not synonymous with life or with death. These are states through which we are floating. Yes? Death is something quite different to what we've understood. Life is different to what we've understood. Life and death, as we explained earlier, are like hotness and coldness of water. Water is the stable substance. Hotness goes, coldness comes, coldness goes, hotness comes, water is still water. So I am the awakening. Uncreated, totally free in there, like any other awakening. Death and life are states that are coming upon me. Here is something before we go further. Why is Allah describing death and then life? You see, death comes after the state of me and you wanting this opportunity of life. And death is just that state of awareness. There is. Why do I say this? Look, everything that we are talking about today is only possible because we took birth as babies. If somebody were to just open their eyes like this, and having no past, which means now that have gone. Because I know what some minds will be thinking, he's just saying there's no past. So they just awaken now without any past as babies. Do you know something? You could cut their hand off. They won't know what you're doing. Because they can't relate and associate with that sensation of pain. They will feel hunger, they will not know what is happening. The judgment I am is so sophisticated, is so complex, that mind that just awakens now, they won't be able to make this judgment I am. They can't make that judgment. It's impossible. Hot, cold, color scheme, sense perception, association with pain, scream, fear, anxiety. None of these things is there. It's a state of pure there is. There is. What is there? It's not known. Just there is. They are not saying that there is, because that's a very sophisticated judgment. It's just a state of there is. We wanted to progress from a state of there is to I am. And hence the process of death and life, birth as babies. Have you ever noticed a baby? When they get to a certain age in the cradle, they begin to turn their hands and they begin to look at their hands. It's amazing. Observe a child. They begin, do you know why they do this? Because they are making a connection, that there is a connection between my intention and this motion. They didn't know that there was this connection. A baby, when it's born, it doesn't even know it has hands. They don't know if they have feet, let alone knowing that they have a connection between intention and motion. So what happens is, through the process of cradle, indoctrination, gradual processes, we become activated. So we're working backwards. From there is to I am in the eternal present in which we are not created. Yes? So here are some of the things that I want to say. If we look at the Quran, it speaks of humanity in a very different way. It says humans were one soul. Then I created their spouses from them. What that means to me is that in the evolutionary track, we are a very late production. There was awareness that was not in gender. After a stage of sophistication, we became male and female. But the real human soul is not a male, not a female, not black, not white, nothing to do with anything of the sort. So therefore, if I look at you accurately, you are me in your context. There is in here has come to this I am, there is in there has come to this I am. Can you see that? We are all, it's one reality of there is that permeates different contexts, and all these contexts awaken. It's one human reality which is the awakening. Now, if we have understood this, then I want to take recourse of two different things and then finish and open it up for questions. One is that there is no merit in being born white, black, brown, yellow. And we'll explain this further tomorrow. There is no merit in taking birth as male or female, taking birth in the house of a saint or the house of the Pharaoh. There is no merit whatsoever. The story is a different story. Qabil killed Habil, right? There was no such thing as a social environment that corrupted Qabil. They are equally the sons of a prophet of God. Who corrupted Qabil? Yes? Nabi Nuh's son was the enemy of God. Asiya, the wife of Pharaoh, was the favored of God. Yes? Taking birth as the Pharaoh or taking birth in the cradle of knowledge means very, very, very little. Taking birth in the lap of a Muslim, taking birth in the lap of an atheist means nothing. These identities are all the same. All of them are the same. There is no difference in anyone. A Hindu, a Muslim, a Buddhist, a Jew, they are one and the same awakening in differing contexts. It's the same thing, awakening in differing contexts. And therefore, nobody has a head start on anybody else. And therefore, there is no truth in the cradle. Truth stands upon its own merit. Then truth needs to be searched out by itself. There is no truth in Islam of the cradle, no Judaism of the cradle, no Christianity of the cradle. These are just, as I'll explain tomorrow, designed in that way for a particular reason. Why? And two, nobody has a head start on anybody else. Being born in a rich family, poor family, it doesn't mean anything. Being born sick, being born deprived, being born with good health doesn't mean anything whatsoever. None of these factors constitute anything worthwhile. Everybody has an equal standing and an equal pedestal. You might want to ask, what happens to the babies that die? And we have to respond. Yes? So inshallah, when we get there. So everybody has equal footing. And Allah says, يَخْلُقُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ. Allah creates whatever He wants. وَيَخْتَارُ, and He chooses. If we've understood that, then the nature of life is that nobody is preferred above anybody else. Yes? There is no one that is favored. There is no one who is chosen. No matter where we take birth, in whatever circumstances we take birth. Two, awakening means that we are nothing but the most lofty beings. Because the world is a whole huge awakening. So we cannot blame another. Yes, we cannot blame another for whatever we are doing. Because nobody has created us in the naive way in which we think. We have just been given the opportunity to awaken because we demanded this opportunity to awaken. Yes? Our damnation is fully upon us. Our salvation is fully upon us. There is no one else to be blamed. Not at all. Somebody can be blamed if somebody initiates our existence. But we know that when I say I am, this is something that is me, not anybody else. It is not my speech, my thought, or the motion of my fingers. So this is absolutely and entirely me. Yes? There is no point of blame or pointing a finger. This is the eternal awakening. Now, somebody might say, is this the awakening of God? I will put it differently. It is the awakening of the whole being in its entirety within my context as it is within your context, as it is within yours. It's the same awakening everywhere of the huge beauty within our limited context, and through that is an opportunity to yearn ourselves. Now, although the Salafis and the people who are against the Sufi madahib often contend against this hadith, I find a lot of relevance in there. That Allah said, I was a hidden treasure, I wanted to be known, and hence I created the creation to be known. Yes? I find a lot of merit in there because the whole of the process of life, as we will work into it tomorrow, is a process of me knowing who I am. It's a constant state of revelation. I'm always revealing myself through different circumstances, and inshallah we'll talk about that tomorrow. But if anybody wants to raise any questions on this particular 10 minutes, yes.